back to another video. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the preferring regional data centers for the internet access. So if you see my topology now, data center 1 and branch 1, branch 2 are in the Europe site. And coming to the branch 3 and 4, they are in Australia. Now, I will go to branch 3 and I will try to trace route to branch 1. Because we did hub and spoke in the last policy, so we do have communication. So I will go to branch 3 and here I will say that trace route VPN 10.10.201.1. You see that I'm going via the data center 2. So currently what's happening is that whenever the branch 3 is trying to communicate with branch 1, it is going via the nearest data center. Similarly, if branch 1 going to branch 3 or 4, it is going via the nearest data center. That's fine. But sometimes it might go from branch 3 might go to data center 1, then to data center branch 1. So branch 3 wants to communicate with branch 1, sometimes it might go via the data center 1. So we don't want that one. We want to isolate it. So what we want to do is that whenever the branch 3 is trying to communicate with branch 4, it should go via the data center 2, then communicate with branch 4. If branch 3 wants to communicate with branch 1, it should go via the branch 2 only this time and go to the branch 1. So that is the current setup. We don't have to make any changes, but in case if you want to create a policy for this kind of scenario, yes, you can create for it. But by default, the behavior is such that it's been inbuilt in the, what do we say, the SD-wan itself nowadays. You don't have to worry about this one. So if you are using any version between 17 to 19, I think that's where you will create this policy. But when we have done the trace route just now, it's taking the nearest data center. That's absolute. Now it all depends, because if you define the time zone, then it's all good. If you does not define the time zone, then it might do the load balancing. All right. Let's go ahead and create a policy if you want to achieve this kind of setup, like the branch 3 and 4, whenever they are trying to communicate with 1 and 2, they should be going via the 2 itself, making sure they go via the 2 only. And 1 and 2 wants to communicate with 3 and 4, we make sure that they are going towards with the data center 1 only. All right, and we will also segregate, like we don't, if we want to communicate, yes, we can communicate. Yeah, let me remove, we don't want to segregate. We keep it simple for now. 1 and 2, when communicating with 3 and 4, they should go via 1 only every time. And 3 and 4, when communicating with 1 and 2, they should go via the data center 2 only. Now we have to create two different policies now. So first policy, what we are going to do on the Europe side is that we are going to accept the TLOC of data center 1. Okay. Then we will accept the routes for branch 1 and 2. Okay. This is TLOC. Then routes. And we are also going to accept the routes for data center 1. So there is no data center 2 in this one. There is no branch 3 and 4 in this one. So we are simply saying that accept the TLOC for the data center 1 only, and accept the routes coming from branch 1 and 2 and data center 1 only. Coming to the Australia side, I will do the same thing. We will say the create a policy, different same policy, saying that accept the TLOC for data center 2, but coming to the route policy, accept data center 2 as well as branch 3 and 4. So in this way, we are just isolating this part and this part, but we should be able to communicate with branch 3 should be able to communicate with 3 and 1 and 2, but it should go via the data center 2. Since we are not accepting data center 1 T-locks on this side, so we should see only data center 2 T-locks on this side. Okay. And over here also we should see only data center 1 T-locks. We are not seeing data center 2 now. Okay. So we are just like isolating two zones now. Okay. So let's go ahead and create. Okay. Again, just to make you clear, we are going to isolate two different zones. We don't want the branch 3 and 4 to communicate via the DC1. We will select, make sure that branch 3 and 4 only sees data center 2. Branch 1 and 2 will only see data center 1. Okay, let's go ahead and create the policy. Same thing, going to configuration policies, go to the custom options, go to the list now. And here I will create the site list that will be defining data center 1 first, and one more site list which will be defining data center 2, and another site list which will be defining branch 1 and 2, and one more list which will be defining branch 3 and 4. And I think branch 1 and 2 I have given wrong. Okay, so we do have data center 1, data center 2, and branch 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 together. That's all good. Let's go to the custom options, go to topology, click on custom control. So we will, this one is for the Europe side. Okay. So I will select the T-lock. That should be this time only data center. Site will be data center 1. I will select the action as accept. Click on 7. Again the routes, same thing. I'm going to select the data center 1, action accept. And I will also see, I want the branch 1 and 2 to see the specific routes. I will do the same thing. Sites, branch 1 and 2, action will be accept. T-lock, we are going to define the new T-lock list that will be data center 1. So 101, business internet, IPsec, MPLS, IPsec, and save. So we are doing the same thing. We are accepting the routes for the DC1, no changes. But when we are trying to communicate branch 3 and 4, 1 and 2 trying to communicate, it should communicate via the data center 1. So that's why we manipulated the T-lock to DC1 only. Save the policy. Let's create one more same policy, exactly the same. This one will be the Australia policy. I will do the same thing. T-lock, I will accept the site for DC2. Action will be accept. And coming to the routes, I will accept the site to DC2 first. No changes, but when communicating with site 3 and 4, I want to accept the routes, but I want to manipulate the T-locks, and I want to make sure that they go via the data center 2 only. Okay, so I will select the DC2 and save. And that's all. Save control policy. So currently those are not applied yet, both of them. Again, making clearly that branch 1 and 2 should communicate via DC1 only, and branch 3 and 4 should communicate via DC2 only. So we are isolating two different zones. Going to the centralized policy, click on edit, and I think this one is version 4 now. So what I will do is that I will copy it so that we have a CP version 4. I forgot to copy because I manipulated the same policy. So going to the version 4 one, because this is a fourth lab, going to the topology, we will detach this one, but we will import the one which we created, that is Europe policy, and we will also import the Australia policy. So once you imported both of them, let's go to the policy application. For the Australia, we want to apply this to the outbound on branch 3 and 4 only. And with the Europe one, we want to apply on the outbound of branch 1 and 2 only, and save the policy. So what should be the outcome? Let's discuss about that one before we activate the policy. Alright, so the outcome should be such that if branch 1 should see the routes for branch 2, and it should be via the data center 1 only. It cannot see the routes for the branch 3 or branch 4. It should not see the routes, and also it should not see the routes from the data center 2. Similarly, over here, when we apply the policy, for example, branch 3 should see the routes for branch 4, but via the data center 2 TLOC, but it should not see the branch 1, branch 2, and DC1. We are not allowing the TLOC, we are also not allowing the routes. So in that way, what happens, both of them will become isolated. Okay, so let's go ahead and deactivate the first policy first. So you can have only one policy at a time, and within that policy you have to make different rules which should not overlap. So you cannot have multiple control policies activated. So that's why I am deactivating this one. Configuration policies, we have created version 4. Let's activate that one now. Now, since I am isolating these two parts, so that means branch 3 will also not able to communicate with 1 and 2, because we are just keeping it separate in a different zone for now. Hub and spoke, same like an hub and spoke, but isolating the zones. So policy has been pushed. So let me go back to the vSmart now. Show running policy. And if you see the policy now, so first thing is that sequence matching the TLOC. We are matching the data center 2. We are accepting the TLOC, and we are rejecting the other TLOCs. Coming to the route, so we are matching the data center 2 routes. We are accepting it. We are also accepting the branch 3 and 4 routes, but we are manipulating the TLOCs. Similarly, we are doing the same thing for the data center 1. We are accepting the TLOCs and the routes, but we are accepting branch 1 and 2 routes, and we are manipulating the TLOC to DC1. So let's go to the branch 1 now with the perspective of branch 1. Let us see what routes we are seeing. Now coming to the VPN 10, you see that I am able to see branch 2 routes, but it's going via the data center 1. But if I go up, before I was able to go to the branch 2, but using both of them. So there were two ways, but here we make sure that it's going via the data center 1 only. If I go to the branch 3, before, if you see that I was able to reach specific routes using the data center 1 and 2, but if I go to the same way now, I am only seeing the data center 2 TLOCs. So simply means that now branch 3 does not have any connectivity to branch 1 indirectly. So if I go to my data center 1 now, if I say show IP routes tabular form, my data center is able to see all the routes, that is 201, 202, but you see that I'm not even able to see the 203 and 4. So we completely isolated this one. So we go one by one. First thing is that we are making sure that when they are communicating with each other, we go via the local DC only, and we are isolating the region now. We will come back to later how we can intercommunicate, but for now we have isolated. So that means branch 3 is not able to communicate with branch 1 or 2. So if I go back to my vSmart, vManage, go to monitor and network, go to the branch 1 now, going to the troubleshoot, stimulate the flows, going to the VPN 10, destination will be 10.10.203.1, which is branch 3. I should not be able to reach. But if I want to go to branch 2, I should be able to go. And this time it's only via the data center 1. Okay. So we achieved preferring regional DCs for internet access. So we isolated the regions. So branch to branch communication is not there beyond that region. But this region wants to communicate with the internet. Yes, it is able to communicate, but currently it is not able to communicate because VPN 10 does not have any default route. Plus, we did not configure the direct internet access in order to communicate with the internet right now. So I hope this was informative for you, and thank you.